Oh, cool. So it's recording.
Yeah, look at that.
So, my first question is, why did you decide to enter the environmental science field?
Well, I would say that when I was growing up and trying to figure out what I wanted to do for college, I really liked science. I was really good at science and math, and I liked being outside. So, it seemed like environmental science was the way to go. It wasn't really I like a light bulb moment. It was just kind of like, hey, I think I'm interested in this, and then I stuck with it.
Yep. I was like, I guess I like these things, so let's mush them all together.
Yeah. Like the best option. I don't really know what I'm getting myself into.
You ended up liking it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I have my PhD in environmental science.
I'll blink my eyes and then all of a sudden I'll have a PhD.
Oh, you won't blink your eyes. It will be a long, long, hard process.
That's true.
But you can do it.
Okay. My next question is, tell me about your career path.
Okay. So first I did my bachelor's degree in environmental science at Hawaii Pacific University. And I got to do cool field work, such as working on an ancient Hawaiian fish pond and doing stream restoration stuff. And I found out about this thing called a PhD. I didn't really know what it was at that point in undergrad. And I found out that you could actually get paid to actually study cool environmental problems. And so I applied to a few universities. I wanted to come back to the East Coast. And I wrote my application that I was interested in studying the interactions with humans and their environment and how the environment affects us. And I didn't really know what that was called, but that's called like environmental health or exposure science that I now know. And so when they were looking over all the applications, they had this awesome grant to study for a couple of grad students to come and study environmental exposure science at Rutgers University. So I started my PhD in fall 2012. Finished up in May of last year, 2018, and discovered that I really like teaching. I like doing research with communities. I like doing environmental health type things. I like mentoring. Now I will be starting an assistant professor position in environmental health at Western Carolina University.
You decided. That's good.
Got a job.
They gave you the best of both worlds.
What?
They gave you like exactly what you wanted.
Yes.
You really had a bunch of different jobs.
Yeah, I did have a few options, and yeah, beautiful campus. I love that it's mostly undergrad, so I get to work with undergrads and lots of first-gen students, and I get to work on like rural environmental health issues, and that's what I really care about.
And it's warmer.
And it's warmer, yes. It still has the 4 seasons, but the winter's not as bad.
Yep.
There's also beautiful mountains.
Okay. What have been some of the biggest challenges in your career?
That's a good question. I think it really stems into why I'm going into the job that I'm going into. There's a lot of institutional knowledge that a lot of people lack. And I would say, especially if you're going into a PhD and you don't really know what that process is and really what to expect, there's just a lot of questions. Like, I mean, you're going to conferences now. I didn't go to my first conference until grad school. I did some research in undergrad, but it was, it wasn't a research institution where I was. And so, yeah, like what are conferences? What are lab rotations? What is research? What the hell is research?
No one can answer that question.
You don't really, a lot of people, I think, aren't prepared. You can be really smart in undergrad, and I did very well. And the research that I did, which wasn't, it was more like just for a report. It wasn't going to be published. You really don't know what to expect. And it's so self-directed, which can be really terrifying for somebody, who's, kind of known the steps to be successful. And so that's, I guess, that was probably the biggest challenge, was like, what the hell am I doing? What does it mean to do research? What do I need to do to be successful? I think this is shared amongst a lot of PhDs, is that you do the first like 75% of your time, you only do 25% of the work. And then your last 25% of the time, you do 75% of the work, because you've kind of figured it out by then. And you're like, oh, I got this. And when you got it, they're like, oh, you're ready to graduate. I'm like, what? I now feel confident in what I'm doing. But that's the point, is that it's a PhD, is to train you. And so once you've been trained, now you go off and you do it on your own.
What are some of your favorite projects that you've completed?
So we did this one. What?
Or just worked on in general?
Okay. Did complete it. It is published as of a couple months ago. Did this one project. It was on indoor air quality. We went to my advisor's house, so she had like the test house that we used, and we set up this really cool instrument called a CIMS, a chemical ionization mass spec. And with it, in real time, we can detect a bunch of oxidized VOCs. So we did lots of volatile organic compounds. We did lots of cool experiments like cooking breakfast, like bacon and eggs and onions, and and then when you would start cooking, you would all suddenly see this chemical signature, which was really neat.
Cool.
Yeah, we invited some people over from the lab and from other labs in the department, because we wanted to facilitate a high occupancy day. And so you could see the chemical signature of having a lot of people in a space, and we wanted to.
It's cool. I didn't even think about that. Like, I thought about like cooking and stuff, but I didn't think about like having so many people in your house would change it. And I was like, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah. People impact the air quality. So we had a bunch of people over, and we wanted to, see what would happen if we got our heart rates up, and we started breathing more and more heavily. And so we ran around the house and danced the YMCA. I really like to show that figure, when I'm giving a talk, and say, and this is the YMCA peak, and that's the Zumba peak, and that's the running around the house peak. That's the bacon peak. We did cleaning. We did a day where we had no occupancy, so we sat outside the house. We opened the windows. I would say that's probably the coolest one. We learned, actually, the biggest finding was that the essential air conditioning heavily impacted the air quality. Every time it would turn on, a bunch of oxidized gases would be scrubbed from the air. And then when it would turn off, the concentrations would come up again.
That's cool. I want to run around a house for research.
It was really hard.
Let's see. What do you enjoy most about being an environmental scientist or air quality scientist?
I think what I enjoy most is getting to work on projects and problems that really impact people. You know, our environment, it is, glaciers and mountains, but it's also our homes, it's our cars, it's our workplaces, it's our neighborhoods and our communities. And so, trying to understand those environments better in order to improve people's health, I think is really cool.
Cool. Do you have any advice for undergraduate students who are considering getting a degree in environmental sciences?
Okay, so they're just going to get a bachelor's degree, or
just
go to grad school?
My question is, should they pursue a master's degree? So I guess you can go in both.
A master's degree.
Or should you even go for a doctorate?
Okay.
My next question. So I guess you can lump them all in one.
I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, there's some people, being working at the state level or working as an environmental consultant is, a really valuable job. And in that case, getting some field experience will be really helpful, and just having a bachelor's degree will probably get you in the door to start. So I think that if you're curious and inquisitive and you want to solve some bigger problems, I think getting a PhD will help you figure out how the hell to do that.
Mm-hmm. I already asked you this one when we were at UMass, but what scientific concepts that people get wrong really annoy you?
Oh, what did I say?
I forget. I don't remember. But you were very passionate about it. You're like, people said this to me.
Oh, I probably had like something that had just happened. I guess some that I find are pretty ubiquitous are risk perceptions. People really don't understand risk. We think people get freaked out about flying in a plane when you're much more likely to die in the car on the way to the airport. And yeah, people think that their experience represents the truth of the world, and that's often not true. Some other ones, what is significant and statistically significant?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not really, the layman's fault. We're not very good at communicating that. But yeah, that's definitely one I often hear.
Now I'm trying to remember what you said.
Yeah. It'll come back to me. But that's good to know. Maybe once we think of it, I'll have to write it down.
I don't remember what it was. If there was one thing that everyone should do today to help to protect the environment, what would that thing for you be?
A very unpopular opinion is on not have children, especially in the developed world. If you make that decision to not bring another person into the world, that's going to, everybody has a very significant impact on the earth, especially in these high income nations. So that would probably be the biggest one, and I think, the data backs that up. That's the best thing that you.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's never a popular opinion, but
I'm personally not having kids. It just doesn't align with me.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person who really just wants to adopt in general.
Yeah, adoption. I'm gonna be a professor. I'm gonna have, I want to dedicate my life to my students, and
your students are your kids.
My students are my kids. Exactly.
What do you think are the biggest challenge for professionals? Biggest challenges for professionals in your career?
Um, well, I guess I'll talk about research and academia. Um, the biggest challenges are getting grants. That's a
Yeah.
big one. I just found out that I was denied the two grants that I applied to. I was denied both of them, but I did get offered a job, so um, that's good. I think that's all going to work out. Um, yeah, I would say that that's a really big challenge. Um, there's just lots and lots of demands on professors to teach and do research and service and all of these things. It can be really hard to be successful, especially depending on where you go, whether it's big research institution or teaching institution. Like I'm going to more of a teaching institution, but I do have to do some research. So figuring out how to balance that will probably be a challenge.
Cool. The last question is there anything else you could tell us about yourself, your career, or the profession that would be interesting to help others aspiring to enter your field? Just anything in general that you think is important to your environmental science career.
I think, if you have the opportunity to go to college and pursue a career in environmental science, try to find something that really makes a positive impact on the world. We're all in this crazy world together, and we all have to work together if we want to solve some of our largest problems. So yeah, try to find that thing that you're really passionate about, that you think is going to make an impact, and then go for it.
Cool. Great. Thanks.
Is that it?